Elon Musk, quite literally one of the most successful people alive on this green and blue rotating ball of misery. In fact, until recently, he was the most successful person on Earth, which only changed when he sold his soul to Satan himself and decided to buy the second most evil, disgusting, boneheaded cesspool ever created in the history of man: Twitter. The only thing worse is TikTok. Love him or hate him, you can't really deny his many accomplishments. And you can't help but admire his borderline ungodly work ethic. Owning 5 businesses, having a net worth of 174 billion, leading mankind for the first time in history to reaching another planet, and most impressively, having 9 kids, one of them being named as if he was an alien Elon kidnapped from Area 51, I'd say, at the very, very least, he's good enough. Unlike you, simply put, he's special. You and I aren't. Honestly, we just suck. You suck. You suck at everything. You even suck at sucking. Sucker. You aren't and never will be good enough because you suck. Wait. Don't leave just yet. Believe it or not, this piece of shit that I begrudgingly call a YouTube video actually attempts to have a positive message. So just hear me out for a sec. Recently, even though I'm an edgy teenager who sees himself as a mature adult, despite the fact that I still can't spell the word mortgage, I watched a kids show called Gravity Falls, and I'll be damned, this kids show was one of the best motion pictures I've ever seen. So piss off, grown-up movies and shows. 99.9% of you haven't even figured out how to be coherent anyway.
You suck!
Anyways, I thought Gravity Falls was so good that I wanted to make a video essay on it. Video essays are for dorks, but I was willing to be a dork this time because I genuinely just loved the show that much. So I watched a video essay that somebody else already made on Gravity Falls just to see what people are talking about. And let's just say, I was out of my league.
When the screen pans down in the intro from Dipper in his room to Stan in the basement, it goes through the actual structure of the Mystery Shack, and in this weird graffiti-like writing on one of the pipes, if you decipher that graffiti using the cipher in the intro, it says, "Bill is watching."
What the fuck? How the fuck did you see that? Needless to say, I tried, and I failed. I just couldn't keep up with those stupid yet genius and admirable dorks that make those video essays. Simply put, I am not good enough. Lately, I haven't been getting, well, any sleep. But last night was the first night in a while that I actually did fall asleep for a bit. So I'm half delirious right now, meaning I get none of the confidence of delirium, but all of the stupidity, which made this kinda hurt a bit more than it would normally. And also, let me let you in on a little secret. For a while, I had the fattest, most hairy, ugly, disgustingly undeserved ego probably in the history of history. To be honest with you, for a little while, I thought I was a goddamn intellectually perfect genius because of all the praise I got from you guys. Even though the compliments were relatively few and far between, and from YouTube commenters who had no idea that my framed picture probably sits right next to Jake Paul in the Despicable Dickhead Hall of Fame, I still let it get to my head and I became an even more egotistical, entitled piece of shit. But when I tried to make that Gravity Falls video essay, I got humbled. Hard. I couldn't fathom how people could be that good at analyzing these shows and movies and coming up with these genius theories about how Mort from Madagascar is a murderous alien who happens to be able to fart for an entire minute straight. The patience and attention to detail to be able to notice the seemingly most insignificant tiny details, and with them being able to build and solve impossible puzzles that nobody even knew existed, to me seems like a goddamn superpower. A superpower that my dumbass doesn't have. If being able to make good video essays means you have superpowers, then I am Batman. This whole thing shattered my entire perception of myself and the world. I felt like a tiger who just realized that he isn't a tiger at all. He's nothing but an orange pet cat. A pet cat that was about to get a leash around his neck and a pair of scissors around his balls. Many people, including me, have fallen into a depression and lost all their confidence when they found out they aren't naturally great at everything, if anything. I felt this way for a while until eventually I realized something important. We live in a fucking bizarro world where people on average expect themselves not to be average. You idiots, by definition, that is impossible. My grand realization was that on average, apparently, people are average. Wow, I feel like an idiot right now. Is this what being a Hollywood celebrity feels like? You know, I just did some serious philosophizing and I found out everybody who breathes air eventually dies. Meaning air is like totally killing everybody. We should stop breathing air, guys. If we hold our breaths forever, we'll live forever. Duh. I'm such a genius. Yep. That's me. I'm average, and on average, it's average to be average. To me, being not average and being special are two different things though. My rationalization is that if average people exist, then people who aren't average must exist as well. So some people aren't average. So in my book, some people aren't average, but at the same time, nobody is special, including myself. I think everybody should adopt this mindset. Thinking you're special and entitled to success is a death sentence to the dreams of anybody who wants to be great at anything. I've come to the conclusion that there are two types of people who think they are entitled to success. Those who believe that any criticism they receive comes from nobody but lower, stupider, loser, idiot oopiters who simply are too stupid to understand their genius. Despite the fact that they're about as great at whatever they're doing as a high school in the drug capital of the world is at convincing kids not to sniff that white stuff. We live in a society where there's drugs and drugs and drugs, but not hugs and hugs and hugs. Guys, let's do hugs instead of drugs. I'm gonna kill your family. And for the other kind of entitled person, the second somebody says or does something that's anything less than kneeling down and kissing the entitled person's toes, they will immediately give up on whatever they are doing and slowly fall into a pit of depression where their self-image is utterly destroyed and they give up on everything in their life that requires more than a finger motion of effort. And they'll probably drink, smoke, and possibly wank themselves to death in the process. Even though I felt pretty bad after realizing I'm average, thanks to my grandly unimpressive and brilliantly stupid realization, instead of breaking down and giving up and spending the rest of my days living in a pillow fortress on Mars, even though I was about 10 seconds from kidnapping an orphaned baby and selling it on the black market to buy a one-way spaceship ride, I decided that I am simply not good enough. And that's okay, because if I was good enough already, what reason would there be in putting any effort into improving? The greats, those who accomplished more than anybody else, those who did incredible things and achieved impossible goals, didn't have a magic wizard they would suck off to obtain their greatness through devouring magic jizz. In fact, they aren't even special. They are just like you and me. There's only one difference between them and us that has allowed them to become above average. The difference is, in the beginning of their journey, they simply accepted that they were average. But instead of getting all sad and depressingly grabbing a glass of wine in the tissues of shame, they took a different perspective. Because they are average, they have lots to improve on. And so, they improved. Lately, I've taken a bit of an interest in the world of MMA.
Looking for the big left hand.
Kick him in the fucking face!
Like we said, second to none.
Yeah, bitch! There's this one fighter who really stands out. His name is Jon Jones. There's a pretty solid case for him as MMA's greatest of all time. He became the youngest UFC champion in history. He has the most title defenses in UFC history. In his first heavyweight fight, which was his most recent fight, he beat the heavyweight champ in like 2 minutes, and in his only loss, he was beating the shit out of his competitor and only lost because he was disqualified by throwing an illegal move. Basically, the dude is really, really good. If you ignore the steroids and eye pokes and cocaine, there's one thing that makes him truly impossible to defeat. The fact that he doesn't think he's impossible to defeat.
I study everybody extensively, and then I come up with their patterns. I figure out the way they flinch. I figure out their first favorite punch, their second favorite punch, their third, their favorite combinations, their setups to their takedowns. When they clinch, what side their head's going to be on, what side they're going to shoot, whether it's going to be a head inside, head outside. What am I going to do about that, you know?
He's always improving and improving and improving, because even though he is arguably the greatest of all time, he still sees himself as human and he still knows he has room to improve. Despite being literally the goodest in the world, Jon Jones is not good enough. And if that guy isn't good enough at making you forget what your name is, despite probably being the one guy that can beat any human being alive in a fist fight, you aren't and never will be good enough at anything. But that's okay. Anybody who has ever accomplished anything great is just a person who wasn't entitled to being special, a person who knew they always had room to improve, and therefore, reason to improve. Elon Musk. Yes, back to the muskrat who's built like a volleyball. This dude has no reason to spend even a second at work, and yet he works 17 hours a day. Why the fuck would he do that? Is he insane? Probably, but also I think there are two other reasons. The first is that he really loves and cares and is truly passionate about his work and goals. The second is that despite the fact that he wears a Herculean pair of smarty pants and is one of the most successful people ever, he knows that he could always learn more and become more successful. He doesn't just think he's special, so the world should bow down to him and kiss his pale space muskrat toes and give him everything he wants for free. He's accepted that he's human and he'll have to work for the things he wants just like anybody else. He never thought he was good enough, but he didn't let that stop him. In fact, that's what fueled him, and that is the reason he has accomplished the things he's accomplished. Of course, daddy owning an emerald mine doesn't hurt, but either way, it's undeniable the dude is great at what he does. You don't become the richest person alive by being average. If after hearing all my bullshit you still have trouble thinking he's just like you and me, the dude has entire articles written about his greatest failures. Half the world hates him. He ain't perfect, just like all of the greats. All of everybody isn't perfect. The greats are just people who simply realized they aren't good enough and used it as a reason to continue rather than a reason to stop. We're all human, so swallow your entitlement. You suck, and I also suck, and everybody sucks, and that's okay. So get out of here and go be average. Well, not really. Be great, change the world, do crazy awesome shit, whatever. But the way to be great is to accept that you're average. So I guess be average to become great? What the fuck? I don't fucking know, you get the point. I'm gonna go eat my neighbor. Oh, and one last thing. Remember, we're all going to die anyway, so you might as well chase your dreams.